Welcome to the Capital Gains Tax Solutions podcast, where we believe most high net worth individuals and those who help them, they struggle with clarifying their capital gains tax deferral options. Not having a clear plan is the enemy, and using a proven tax deferral strategy, such as the Deferred Sales Trust, is the best way for you to exit your highly appreciated investment real estate, cryptocurrency, primary home, or maybe even land. I'm here. My name is Brett Swartz. I'm your host, and I'm here with some of the best real estate financial wealth minds in the world, where they share their ideas, deal stories, and inspiration. So together we can make complex tax deferral strategies simple and passive income plans achievable. Today is no exception. I am with the gentleman who's going to help you become, if you want to, have more passive income through land investing. In fact, he is the founder of the Land Sharks, and he always felt that, or has believed that, generating passive income and building legacy wealth, there can be some problems, right? You may have lots of money to invest. You may need to be a real estate expert. You might feel overwhelmed and don't know where to start. But he's here to tell us some practical tips on how to get going right now. Please welcome to the show with me, Brent Bowers. Brent, how you doing, sir?
I'm really good, Brett. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So you have Brent, B-R-E-N-T. Sometimes I get my name with Brett. They want to add that N or they want to drop that T. Do you ever get the Brett sometimes?
All the time, every single day of the week, it seems like. So I just expect it from now on.
Absolutely. Well, that's part of my story too. In the meantime, though, enough about the name stuff. Let's focus on you a little bit. Give our listeners a little bit more about your background and your current focus.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Brett. And thanks so much for having me on the Capital Gains Tax Solutions. I am a tax student. I love studying this stuff. I love reading these books because you know what? If you're going to pay all your profits to Uncle Sam, what's the point of being in business? So I love that you put the show on. Thanks so much for having me. I would say a little bit about myself. 2007, I became a real estate agent, and I also became a real estate investor. Purchased my first property and ended up having to borrow the earnest money deposit from great grandma. And she said, look, if you don't pay me back, that's okay. It comes out of your inheritance. I said, don't worry, grandma. I'm going to pay you back because I'm getting a buyer's agent commission for buying this house. So pay grandma back. I never got that inheritance. I don't know what she was talking about. I think she just tricked me into paying her back. But I was now a house owner and I wanted to be a landlord. So I rented this property out, had the school of hard knocks. I found out that you don't rent to people that can pay the highest amount. You rent to people with good credit, no backgrounds, no felonies on their background. So I had to learn a couple times as far as renovating a house after your tenant trashes it. And just so happened to be when I was out of the country, when I had to do these renovations, because I ended up joining the military in 2009 because the real estate market really kind of kicked my butt. So I was overseas for a few years, deployed a couple times, get back to the States in 2013. And guess what? Guess who's back in the real estate market? Brent Bowers. So I started buying houses again, buying rentals. And, it was all well and good, but I wanted to be a little bit different. So I started buying land at massive, massive discounts. And I started turning around and selling this land at premium and retail prices to people that can afford a monthly payment. So I'd buy it at a massive discount and turning around and sell it at a retail price. And I'd be paid for the next 3, 4, 5, 7 years on this piece of land. And then that took me into a whole nother strategy. I'm getting passive land income. And then I started reinvesting back in building in houses and commercial and apartments for the tax savings. And here we are today. Hopefully we're going to have an awesome conversation about it.
Amazing. Yeah, we just met 3 minutes ago for the first time. Never talked to Brent before, and I can already say we're going to align on a lot of things. Before we dive into some of those strategies, though, Brent, I believe we've all been given certain gifts in these lives. Some people call them superpowers. Some people call them strengths. I believe they're God-given gifts, and I believe these gifts have been given to us to be a blessing to others. So I'm curious, Brent, go back to the high school days, college days, maybe, and picture yourself. And what was maybe one of those 1 or 2 gifts that you believe kind of naturally came to you? What are those gifts, and how do you use those gifts to help and bless people today?
Yeah. So I would say the first thing that comes to my mind is stubbornness. And when I get something in my mind, I get it done. Sometimes that gift's gotten me in trouble too. You can, with it, what is Spider-Man's uncle said, with great power comes great responsibility. So sometimes you can get yourself in trouble with these gifts as well. But I would say what's been my superpower is I get something in my mind and I will jump over walls to get there. And then how we bless people today with it is just, we've got a big team now. We give to others. I'm also coaching people on how to do this. I literally just had a student text me right before we got on here. He's going to make $2.5 million profit on a land deal. And he's also blessing others' lives. So that's really cool to know, this is a good guy making an amazing profit on a land deal, one land deal. And this man is a servant, a God's servant. Like he's always doing things to, improve others' lives. And I don't want to get into what he does, but it's just good to know that I had a very small, tiny part in that.
It's remarkable and amazing. And by the way, you can learn more about Brent Bowers at thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com. So now let's dive in right into what is it that you do and how you help people create what's called, I like to say, transformational wealth, right? It's not just, perhaps for someone it's 2.5 million. Some people it's 200,000, maybe it's 100,000, right? But that can be huge for somebody, right? With either getting more passive income, building their wealth outside of the stock market. So let's dive right into that. Step one, what's the best kept secret as it comes to land investing and what you do?
That's a great question. And I'm glad you also said that, the transformational wealth, at the end of the day, sometimes even an extra $250 is life changing for someone. And that could be per month. It doesn't have to be 2.5 million or 200,000. $250 a month could change someone's lives. But going back to the best kept secret, I would say is most people have no clue how to make money in land. And that's why there's virtually no competition. So that's maybe my second best kept secret, but it's how to make money in land. People drive by this stuff every single day. They don't even look twice at it because there's no building on it. There's no storage unit on it. There's no mobile home or single family residence. How in the world to make money with land? That's probably the best kept secret. And then the second secret is there's no competition because people don't realize how to make money in land, so they're not investing in it. And I'll let you take the lead on that. If you want me to tell how to make money in land, I would be more than happy to.
Yeah,
but I want to answer the first question.
next secret. So the first secret is people just don't realize that you can do it, and or they don't have a guide or coach like Brent Bowers showing them how to do it. By the way, we get that all the time with the Deferred Sales Trust. People don't understand how to use the Deferred Sales Trust to defer tax, to build your wealth, to diversify, to get liquidity, because they haven't been shown by somebody who's done it in the past, right? First time I did a 1031 exchange as a real estate broker, I didn't know what I was doing, but I had some guides and some coaches at Marcus and Millichap who showed me how to do it. First time I did a deferred sales trust, I didn't know what I was doing. It was 2009 after the crash, but then I had a guide and a coach who showed me how to do it. Wow, what a concept, right? And then after you do a set of these deals, and I say the 10,000 hours, right? You become an expert as you're looking at deals, underwriting deals, closing deals, finding deals, understanding the needs, the wants, the motivations behind each circumstance, right? And as you collect that experience, all of a sudden you're the expert and you can provide that next level of service. So walk us through that, Brent. How are you coaching and step-by-step helping somebody to become a land expert?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, coaching has been such an amazingly fulfilling experience because when you see a student actually take action and get a result, we call a win from it, the action creates the result and the result is the win. And that's where the education comes from. And enough of that, the education comes, while you're getting paid, getting paid to learn basically is what we call it. How do I coach people? I have a series of modules, which is another word for video, very short videos with action steps to where you take the action and then you celebrate. Have a lemonade, enjoy your time, take the rest of the day off. One action step could be, pick your playground. Hey, I'm giving you 24 hours to pick your playground. Pick it. Next day, let's get a list to mail. Let's get a list of people that would be highly motivated to get rid of this land in this particular situation. What would make them motivated? They might be out of state. They might be behind on their taxes. There might be liens. And then number 3, day 3, get a letter in the mail to these people. And then so on and so on. It's step by step by step. And that's how we're coaching people.
That's amazing. I love that. And I might pick your brain on that because we also have a portal and it's, at your own pace. It's kind of like, here's some A to Z, what you need to know. 90% of the answers to your question on the deferred sales trust you can find. But I like how you're doing that simple 24-hour, like little mini challenges, right? Is that a fair summary?
That's it. Yeah. And it's not overwhelming. I'm not giving you an hour and 35 minutes of video for you to listen to me and watch me thumb around on the computer and this and that. And as you could probably tell, I'm not a super analytical dude. I'm like, here's the task and just do it.
Yeah.
Don't think about it. Do it.
Right. Take the action. I love how you put action creates the result, and the result is the win, and the win gives you the experience and education. I think sometimes we get it backwards, right? We think we need to go get that education. We need to go watch that PowerPoint or that YouTube video or whatever, and just keep absorbing, not realizing we're just stuffing ourselves full of information, and that creates sometimes it can create procrastination and then analysis paralysis, and then guess what? Nothing ever happens, right? But it's taking that action. So what's the best kept secret to helping your students take that action besides the simple 24-hour challenges?
I'd say one, keeping it simple. Here's the action step and pull the trigger, and pushing them to do that. I find that most of my students just want the confidence and the permission to be able to do it, and most of our calls, our training calls, our coaching calls are not how to do it. It's almost the psychology of why you have to do it. Like, it's taking the action. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to have, it's not going to be to the penny exactly for the offer amount. It's just knowing that it's okay to just take the action, even though it's not going to be the absolute perfect result. And, the result could be beautiful, and sometimes it's not even planned, and it turns out better than what we actually anticipated. It's almost like asking one of our land buyers when we're trying to figure out, hey, it shows on here, our ad, we're asking for $399 a month. What's an affordable monthly payment to you? And our minds are thinking, oh, he's going to say $250, and I don't want $250 a month. I need $399. And sometimes they completely go the opposite direction and surprise us and say, you know what, I could probably do $450 a month. We're only asking $399 a month. So sometimes the result is opposite of what we're thinking, in our minds. Don't let your limiting beliefs and your very, minuscule understanding be what's going to happen, because you never know. And sometimes it's just even better than what you expected. Sometimes it's even more beautiful than what you expected.
Beautiful. I love all of that. So now let's get super practical with an example. Okay. So we could, by the way, I like to start with that $2.5 million deal because that sounds like a huge win. And then we'll get maybe a more average size deals. So walk us through, without having to give away anything that's confidential, right? What was the land that he bought for what, right? And how was he able to turn around and did he entitle it? Did he improve it? Did he do something to make it $2.5 million gain?
So I can't talk too much about it because it's not 100% complete, but here's the thing. It's 96 buildable lots, and a builder is willing to come in and pay, roughly $52,000 a lot for this property. And they're actually paying, a way bigger price tag, but the roads and the culverts are going to come out of the proceeds. So he's technically going to only have about a profit of about $2.5 million. So that's that deal, but that's not happening every single day. I can tell you the deals that we have every single day. I'll tell you the coaching call I just got off of yesterday. We have a student that's getting the parcel of land under contract for $2,000, and he's turning around and selling it for $15,000 on seller financing. And his buyer is going to pay a $2,000 down payment, and he's going to make money off of this piece of land for the next 5 or 6 years. So he is going to create time freedom because he's going to be paid for the next 5 or 6 years on this one transaction. Now imagine doing one of these a week at $200 a month. That really adds up. Sawdust shavings make big, big piles.
Beautiful. So let me walk through that. So he bought the land for $2,000 and he bought it cash. So now he owns it. And then he goes and finds somebody and he says, look, I'll sell it to you on terms. I will carry back the note, right? I will lend you the money at $15,000, and you just have to pay me about $200 a month for X amount of years. And they're like, yeah, that's sweet. I'll give a $2,000 down payment. So he gets his initial investment back. So now there has some skin in the game. Is that a fair summary?
You got it, Brett. That's right. And he's profitable. And my student is profitable in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And he just rinses and repeats.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Okay, so now let's back up to, and maybe this is the secret sauce. Maybe we need to get with Brent, but where and how are they finding these deals? And just tell us how simple it really is to execute on these things.
A lot of times we start with the low hanging juicy fruit. We're looking for the out of state owners and the guys that are behind on the tax delinquent or that are behind on their taxes for the property. So we call it the tax delinquent list, and it can be easily found by calling your county treasurer and asking, "Hey, let me. Is there any way I can get a list of the people that are behind on their properties?" And then you scrub that list and you figure out who to mail, who's vacant land, and send these guys a letter. Get in front of them, talk to them, serve them.
Mm-hmm. Next step is you create a deal, a win-win for both sides. So $2,000 for the piece of land, and the person's already behind. Are you coming out of pocket to maybe pay some of the delinquent taxes sometimes, or how does that work out?
Yeah, most of the time that comes out of the $2,000, and every deal is a little different. I've had some where I'll talk about my first deal. The first deal I ever purchased, $285 for a piece of land. Unbelievable, right? I had actually found this parcel of land by mailing the county held tax delinquent list. The county held tax delinquent list. Actually, it was the county held tax lien list. Let me correct myself. This is land that was so inefficient, not buildable, not accessible, that tax lien investors don't even purchase the back taxes on. They don't even want to try and make a return on investment because they don't get stuck with that land. So I mailed this list accidentally when I was just starting this out in early 2016. And I mailed almost 687 postcards, just a simple postcard. Hey, I'd like to buy your land. And I must have received 85 phone calls. My phone almost melted. I didn't have time to return the calls because I was still an Army officer. I had like an hour-long lunch break, and I was on post at 6 a.m. and leaving usually about 7 p.m. I returned 20 of those phone calls and did 2 deals. Well, this first deal, $285, had no clue what the land was worth. I called a realtor that was close to the land. She was so familiar with it. She knew why it wasn't buildable. She gave me the ins and outs, and I was like, listen, I don't have a lot of money. I can't just leave my money parked in this land. $285. Like, embarrassing, right? I had, and that's fine. A lot of people are in that position, and I was. And then we had just had a brand new baby, just moved out to Colorado. I was scared. I didn't want to buy a piece of land that I'd get stuck with. So I asked the realtor, I was like, what's the 30-day blowout price? She goes, well, I don't know about that, but you could probably sell for maybe 10 grand. And I was thinking to myself, 10 grand? I'm spending 285. Great deal. So I hang up with this realtor that I called on a Saturday. I'm just so blessed that she was in the office and was willing to take my call. And she calls me back 5 minutes later and says, hey, what do you think if I purchased the land from you? And I was like, I think that'd be a great deal. What are you offering? She goes, 5,000. I said, when do you want to close? She said, Wednesday. I was like, 4 days from now? She was, yeah. And I was just like, cool, let's do it. So she sent me the contract to close on Wednesday. I called my seller back and I said, hey, can we meet Tuesday? I'll pay you then. Bring me the deed. So we met Tuesday. I paid him. I sent my deed to the land title company, and I had my $5,000 check the next day. So that's it. It's that easy.
Oh my gosh. Love it, love it, love it, love it. And I love that you're coaching and training people how to do that. Fantastic. By the way, you can find more about Brent Bowers at thelandsharks.com, thelandsharks.com. So Brent, are you in Colorado? Is that where you're located?
Yeah, I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado.
Okay, so interesting enough, we just did a deferred sales trust in Colorado Springs for about a 50-unit apartment complex, and they deferred the tax using the deferred sales trust. So now it's a good segue for us for the next part. So you're doing these things on land contracts. Perhaps are you doing 100% seller carryback for just about every deal, or are there times when people are just coming to you and want to just pay cash, like the 5,000, and you have a big gain? If so, what's the biggest frustration when it comes to capital gains tax for you?
The biggest frustration is I pay about 40 cents on the dollar. And yes, to answer your question, I lean towards the seller financing, but there's times where we stopped advertising a cash price on our website because we didn't want that. And then they would try and negotiate that cash price. So we just only put the price that if they do the financing. But yeah, sometimes people will say, well, I don't want to finance it, or my self-directed IRA will not allow me to do that. and they will make their down payment, and then we'll refund them the down payment, and then they'll send us a big check. So we've had that happen a couple times. But yeah, and I'd love to talk to you about some strategies that I'm using to delay those taxes and 1031. And I was so scared to do one of those, but after you do it, it's so easy, and yeah, you save a lot of
You
money.
took action, right? You took your false beliefs out of the way and you found someone who can help guide you. You took action on your first 1031 and you did it, right? Same thing
Yeah.
with your land contract, seller carryback. And so, yeah, no, absolutely. So for our listeners who don't know, but if you haven't heard it yet, capital gains tax solution is what we do. We help people defer capital gains taxes not using a 1031 exchange. And it works for high-end primary homes. It works for land sales. It works for cryptocurrency. It works for stock. It works for, of course, investment real estate, businesses, okay? And it's remarkable in that you don't have to rely on the buyer who may or may not pay you, right? Or you may need to foreclose on. And versus a traditional seller carry, Brent, you can go on for as long as you want. Most of these traditional seller carries are 3 to 5 years, maybe 10. Ours can go for 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, pass to your kids, and you just keep going. But the best part is you can put it into other investment real estate deals or stocks if you want to, and diversify your collateral, right? And get cash flow, even more cash flow coming for it. So lots of ways to go with that. But I'm curious, have you ever looked at that before, or what's your experience with the Deferred Sales Trust?
No experience whatsoever. And I'm so thankful to be on this, because this is one of those avenues, loopholes, blessings that I'm going to be exploring,
100%.
because I would prefer not to have to do 1031s.
Right. Because inventory right now, I feel, is really low and prices are through the roof. Rates have also dropped, which makes prices even higher. So we think it's a great time to sell. It's not such a good time to buy. I mean, you can always find a deal in every marketplace, don't get me wrong, but just be very cautious to not just, I call it the forced shotgun wedding, identifying 45, closing 180. That's usually like a fast marriage. It doesn't end too well when you get engaged in 45 days. That being said, you ready for the lightning round?
Let's do it.
All right. So knowing what you know now, Brent, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self, what's the one golden nugget that you would make sure you would tell yourself to do?
Not sell all those houses.
How many houses did you have?
I've probably sold at least, I don't know, 30 of them that I wish I wouldn't have sold.
Got it. Especially in Colorado, right? It's been on, just really exploded the last 10 years. So, okay, not sell all the houses. Excellent. Question number 2, what's the number one book you've recommended or gifted the most in the past year?
The Wealthy Gardener. I wish someone would have locked me in a room when I was 8 or 25 years old. I don't care, any age, besides when I read it just recently. The Wealthy Gardener.
Who's it by?
You know what? I got to look up his name. Honestly, gosh.
That's okay. We'll find it. The Wealthy Gardener, people, Google that. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
It's going to pop up on the list. Question number 3, best real estate investment ever?
My office building I'm standing in right now.
Ooh, why?
Because it's an enterprise zone, bought it dirt cheap, saved a bunch of money in taxes. They're building a 350 unit apartment complex across the street. It was just definitely in the path of growth. And it was almost, I wouldn't say it was by any of my intelligence. I was like, it seems like a good deal. And we purchased it. It was just a great blessing.
Beautiful. Worst real estate deal ever?
My first house I talked to you about in 2007. Absolute worst. However, best learning experience ever too.
Right, exactly. You took the action, which led to all the other successes you have now. And maybe if you didn't take the action on that first house, who knows what would have happened? But
oh yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
Good. What are you curious about right now?
I'm curious about how to have a better oiled machine. You're always going to have people problems, emotion problems, drama problems when you bring on a team and locations and different locations in different countries. How to have a more well-oiled, efficient, happy family type team. So we're always looking for ways to get better with it. And things aren't bad. They could be better though.
Excellent. I love that. Same here. We're for growing pains for sure. So,
Growing pains are real.
So, okay, excellent. Next question is this your number one leadership quote or theme that you strive to live by?
Oh man, I would say just get after it. Do something every day to move the needle, and it doesn't have to be a lot. It's a compound effect thing. There's 365 days in a year. If you did one thing every day to move you closer to your goal, you're going to reach it faster than you ever realized possible.
Excellent. By the way, I'm reading The Compound Effect. It's another book that I would
Oh
highly
man,
recommend.
great book. And it really came from that
Yeah.
by Darren Hardy.
Yep. Beautiful. Last question, Brent, and then we'll wrap up the show. After all your success with land investing and helping countless others do the same, I'm curious, how do you stay centered in your values, and how do you stay encouraged to reach forward to reach new heights?
Well, my wife helps me stay centered. You ever want to kind of keep on the ground and not get too high on your horse? Just marry a smart woman. That's one way. Wife, family, God, beliefs.
Beautiful. Well, Brent, I want to thank you for being on the show. I want to thank you for using your gifts all these years to be stubborn and to persevere and to push forward so that you could help your family and others create and preserve more wealth with real estate and land investing. I want to encourage you to keep doing that. And for our listeners who want to find you, can you give them one more reminder where they can find you?
Yeah, check me out at thelandsharks.com or on Instagram if you like that platform at Brent L. Bowers.
Beautiful. And for our listeners, that wraps up another show. I want to thank you for listening. If we can help you at all, defer capital gains tax, make decisions on finding investment real estate, you can go to capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. That's capitalgainstaxsolutions.com. If you are a real estate professional, financial advisor, business professional, commercial real estate syndicator, you can go to experttaxsecrets.com to learn how to use the Deferred Sales Trust to grow your business and unlock capital to buy more deals. With that, we appreciate you listening to the show. Please look for this show to drop on iTunes real shortly here, and it's on YouTube now. Always immediately when we air. Thank you so much. Bye, everybody.